On this episode of iFilmmaker, we talk about the traveling videographer. Welcome to another episode of iFilmmaker. My name's Ariel Martinez, and we have Mr. McCoy again.
Mr. Martinez, how are you today?
Great, man. You tired of this yet, or no?
Second episode, trying to get things organized. For those that are going to actually watch this on YouTube, I've moved my desk around. I've tried to make it a little bit pretty, cleaned up my little area here. So I can see why we decided we were going to do a podcast, and then stupidly we decided to add in video to make things more complicated for ourselves.
That was what I told you. That's what I told you, but yeah, I told you video takes time, and that's precisely why I decided to do a podcast. But you insisted on the video. I agreed. I agreed that video would be very compelling. But it is going to take a little bit more time to get set up, but Well,
God forbid two video guys can't work out how to get their videos set up. And after last week's horrible footage that I had, I was like, I got to try and make it a little bit better. But each week I'm going to progress. Maybe next time I actually get a decent camera out instead of this little RX100 Mark IV I'm filming on next to me.
That's what you're shooting on right now, right?
Yeah, the version 4, which I still think is the best travel camera you can get out there for video and for photos. So.
I haven't used it, but is it better than the A6500 that you have?
Yeah, well, because of the A6500, for those that don't know, you need to actually buy a lens with it, unless you get like a little kit lens, but you can attach a variety of lenses, whereas the RX series, the Sony RX series of handy cams, I guess you would call them, it comes with like a fixed lens on it. And I think it's a 24-70, I think, off the top of my head. Can't see, it's down the under of the table. And does it have like a fixed aperture? No, it's a variable, but it goes down to 1.8. So
gotcha.
If you're out traveling and you're in Barcelona in a bar some night, you want to get those those low light shots of your friends, whether it be on video or pictures. It has that 1.8 aperture, so that helps. Anyway,
now let me ask you, that camera, does it have a record limit?
I think they all do it, and I think they time out at that 29 minutes. And
right. That's precisely the reason why I didn't want to use my A6300 for this, which would be a convenient camera to use for this purpose, but I didn't want to have to worry about stopping and starting recording again at 30 minutes.
Well, I'm going to have to today, so I have to be cognizant of that.
Yeah, when I was putting together the video, you do have a gap where on the GoPro, where it stopped and you started it again. It was like a small little gap there.
Yeah, we'll have to pay attention to that today. Yeah, maybe next time I'll take the FS5 out so we won't have any of these issues at all. Yeah.
So, I mean, the main reason why I'm using the FS5 for me is because of what we had just mentioned, the fact that it could do continuous recording, right? And another reason for me was the fact that I can turn that LCD screen around and I can see what I'm shooting.
Well, I can do that on the RX100. Yeah.
Now check this out. I just found out, you probably already know this, but today I just found out that I could do controlling with my phone. I can control the FS5 with my phone.
I didn't know that.
So check this out. This is actually really, really cool, which is another reason why I'm going to continue using the FS5, is because I have my phone, my iPhone 7 Plus right here in front of me, and I can actually pull focus with it simply by tapping on my face on my phone.
Wait, is that part of an update, or has that always been there?
I have no idea. I actually just found that out. I actually, speaking of update, I updated the firmware today.
Oh wait, you updated to the version 4.0?
Right.
That we discussed last week.
You did it last week?
No, that we discussed last week.
Exactly. So I was playing with it a little bit, and then I just saw that it says remote control camera with smartphone. And I'm like, and I just started playing with this little feature, and it has right now it's locked. This is a cool part. I can control my iris. I can control the focus by tapping on anywhere on the screen on my phone. I can toggle on and off the auto iris and the autofocus, which I'm probably never going to do.
Okay.
And then I can just hit record and stop recording from my phone as well.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to show me some of that later, and to bring it back around, because I don't want to bore all the listeners with the fact that we do nothing but talk about the FS5. So let's bring it around to what is today's podcast about, Mr. Martinez?
So today we are talking about traveling, man.
Ooh,
Traveling. You and I do quite a bit of traveling in our work, and I think it'd be really cool to share our traveling experiences.
Okay. Oh, great.
So speaking of traveling, Mr. McCoy,
Yes.
what is your preferred airline?
Well, okay, so it's always a bit of a difficult one. I mean, when I was back in Australia, I used to just, fly any airline. I would take the cheapest flight possible.
Right.
And then finally, when I came to the US, I realized, traveling in the United States is a little bit more difficult. There's a lot more I feel like I'm kind of like, it's like a cattle call. And anyone that's a photographer or videographer traveling with gear knows how difficult it is. So I realized very quickly that if you want to have any preference, you basically need to stick with one airline. So
Right.
I did a lot of research when I came. I looked at a variety of different airlines, who I was going to pick with, because from what I understand, and I'm not the expert on points yet, but basically you have 12 months to accumulate your points, your frequent flyer points through an airline. And that will eventually give you some status. And with that status, you can get, you can get preferential treatment in regards to free baggage, being able to board earlier, et cetera, et cetera. So
I love that.
it's a huge thing, especially if you're carrying a big camera bag like I am, making sure that you get on the plane early. Now that's something I would never usually do if I'm just traveling by myself and not carrying camera gear. I don't really care. But if you want to make sure you get that overhead compartment, so you need to make sure you get on early. And so that comes with priority boarding now.
Right.
So the way I did it is, and the way after speaking to a lot of people, one of the most important things is basically saying which airline is the best for your city. And, for instance, I know there are some people that fly out of Texas. So American Airlines, I think their hub is based in, I can't remember, is it Austin? No, not Austin.
American Airlines actually has a few different hubs.
Yeah, but
So I know one is in Texas.
yeah.
Miami is actually another one.
Right. So it depends on each city that you're in. Each city has different hubs. So for me, I looked at it and it was a toss up between Delta and American, and I took the gamble. Kind of regret it a little bit now. I went with American, but they're much of a muchness. So that was one of the main things I went with, and so now I have status. I get some free baggage, and I get a little bit of priority boarding, and that does make a huge world of difference. So my first piece of advice: if you're going to be traveling, you're shooting video, you're shooting photos, you want to make sure that you have that status. Now, if you're only like carrying one camera or something, it doesn't matter. But I think that makes a world of difference.
Right. I actually American is actually my airline as well. Well, aside from the fact that Delta doesn't actually fly into or out of Miami. If I was to pick Delta, I would have to drive all the way to Fort Lauderdale, which is almost an hour drive for that airport. But American has been great. I mean, I've been able to rack up my miles as well. I got my status. I'm a gold member there. And just like you mentioned, I have my first bag is free. My first checked bag is free. I get priority boarding, which is great. And one of my favorite things is I always get to pick my seat. Anything outside of first class is always available for me for free. So, which is great, which is fantastic, because I hate sitting in the back of the plane just because it takes so long for you to get out when you're done. And I also prefer to sit in the aisle seat as well. So I like to have that priority, that the fact that I can pick the seat that I want, and there's no, usually even for exit rows, there's a charge of like, I think it's like $15-20 that you have to add onto your flight. And there's other seats that are even more than that are not even first class, but I get all that stuff for no charge. So it's pretty cool.
So you're one of those people that pick the old mythical aisle seat. You see, I think that I used to think the aisle seat was a good seat. Yeah. And then I realized I don't actually think it's the best seat. I choose the window because the window is the only place where you actually have your own space where no one can bump into you. I always find if I'm sitting in the aisle seat, you've got the carts coming up and down. The
Mm.
person sitting in the middle or in the window seat wants to get up, so you're basically at the mercy of everyone else. So I have moved recently to only taking the window seat because once I'm in the window seat, I'm fine. I'm comfortable. If I want to sleep, I can go to sleep. I don't need to worry about anything. So
Well, the reason why, and I usually don't, I'm not a big sleeper on planes. Sometimes I do if I'm that tired, but I'm not a big sleeper. But the main reason why I prefer the aisle seat is because I'm very tall and I need to be able to maneuver my knees uh around the seat in front of me. So
mhm.
I'm usually able to just, get all the space I want. I can, I'm not saying I sit with my legs wide open, but I like to have my legs open somewhat. And sometimes my outside knee ends up going to the outside.
Okay.
So I have that aisle extra room there to have my knees in there. And that's pretty much the main reason why I choose the aisle seat. But yeah, the window seat, man. And I got to tell you, sometimes I regret uh choosing the aisle just because like we're flying
Mm.
and there's a beautiful beautiful sunset or sunrise. Most of the time it's a sunset, and I wish I was on the window seat to capture that. I always have my A6300 in hand
Mm.
just in case, whenever I travel anywhere I go, I always have it in hand. And man, that sunset is sometimes just gorgeous from a plane, and sometimes I miss it just because I don't have a window seat.
Now, did you double it up? Did you do the credit card as well, or did you have you avoided that?
No, I plan to do the credit card soon though.
Okay.
I definitely want to. I plan to do that, get that executive platinum status, and take that even further.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, I mean, basically with any of the airlines now, United, American, Delta, if you basically sign up to their credit card, not only do and you book your flight on that credit card, most of them will give you a free bag anyway, even if you don't have status and you accumulate more points. Some people say
Right,
it's a catch-22 that you end up getting stuffed around because you take out another credit card. But I kind of find that invaluable, getting free
right,
baggage if you don't have status. So even if you don't have gold, silver, platinum, bronze, or whatever they want to call it,
right.
when you book through one of those credit cards, you get that free bag. Most of those airlines offer it, and also they do some sign up bonus where you get like 50 or 60,000 free points, which is generally like
Mm.
it's some way that you can get out of it. So if you pay your bills off every month and you pay your statement off every month, which you should, which I never do, uh, then you're generally a little bit ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it goes with anything. Having any kind of credit, you just got to be responsible with it.
All right.
I mean, my miles, I really keep them. I don't really use my miles. I keep them to maintain my status,
Mhm.
and I know that when I get my credit card, then I don't have to worry about that. So,
All right. What's another tip? We got another tip for us, Ariel, in regards to traveling.
so traveling. Here's a tip for you: do not fly Southwest.
Wow, big call.
All right, so let me explain that part, and this is the last part. Then we're gonna get into the whole gear stuff and how to travel with your gear. But
Okay.
let me just give you a just. I know you have a worse experience. We're gonna talk about your worst experience in a second. Southwest, I flew with them one time, and not by my own choice. My client just happened to book me on Southwest,
Hmm.
and okay, so I mean, it was a this was the first time me traveling in Southwest, and here's the thing. My favorite part about having Americans that I told you I get to pick my own seat and be very comfortable. Southwest, that's not the case. With Southwest, you're standing in line and you just hope that you get a good seat. Basically, that's pretty much it. You have to basically go and fight for your seat, and that's how they do it. You could pay more and get a close and be one pay more and basically just get on the plane earlier. That's all it is. But you still there is no assigned seating.
Okay.
So you basically get if you don't want to pay extra, you're pretty much always gonna sit in the middle.
Mm.
You're always gonna get a middle seat, and that was horrible. It's like I just don't like not knowing where I'm gonna sit because I do want to fly comfortable, and it sucked for me. It really really did. I know it's not that big a deal. It's a big deal for me. So
Mm.
uh I really don't like Southwest at all, and my bags were late. Um,
But that can
they
happen on
almost,
any airline, though. So
huh?
that seems to happen on any airline these
Yeah,
days.
no, you're right. You're right. It has yet to happen on American, thank God. But and I know it's I know it's common, but
Well,
it only happened
you're
on
very different to me.
Southwest.
My last 7 flights with American not only have none of them taken off on time, I've been delayed every single time, and my baggage has always kind of taken usually to 35 to 40 minutes for my bags to come out. And I don't know why. Hopefully my eighth flight I'll be much luckier. But all right, so Southwest is definitely off for Ariel Martinez. So
Yeah,
mental note.
yeah. If you're hiring me, do not book me on Southwest.
Okay. Well, let me add to that final thing. So you got a tip in. Um, I would say the most valuable tip that I have since I came to the United States was actually signing up to that TSA pre-check.
Yes. How did I miss that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, I have that too.
That has
So
been
good.
yeah, that's been fantastic for me flying out of JFK or LaGuardia. Sometimes
Yes.
having that pre-check has been a godsend, and I think I paid $90 odd. I had to go down to the Hilton Hotel near JFK. They asked me a bunch of questions. I had to get
Yep.
fingerprinted.
Hmm.
And basically, that allows me to not have to take my laptop out when I'm going through security check. I can leave my shoes on,
Hmm.
and it just makes the whole experience a little bit faster. At the moment, not that many people have signed up. It's starting to grow. So at times, I have seen well, not many times, several times where I've actually gone through the regular line as opposed
Hmm.
to TSA pre, because sometimes that does back up a little bit depending on the airport. But for the most part, in particular at LAX, I'm always able to just go through, in clear security within like 5 to 8 minutes. So, and that especially if you're running late,
So
that's a
good.
godsend. So, and
So good.
but now they're doing clear as well. Have you seen that?
Clear. No, I haven't seen it.
Some airports are rolling that out now, and I don't know what the price is. Maybe it's like an extra 100, and I don't know what the amount is. I can look it up online, but it's an extra fee, and so basically, from what I understand, you don't need to show ID when you go through. So that's another level, but they're rolling that out at several other airports.
Wow.
It's not at every airport now, whereas the
You
TSA
don't have to
pre is.
show ID?
No. Uh, I think it
Huh.
does like retina scan or something. I should probably
Okay.
look this up. Um,
Getting some Minority Report up in here, man.
well, Clear is the next one. Clear Me. So, yeah, but that's something I've seen at several airports. But at this stage, I don't think I'm signing up to that. I'm happy with the TSA Pre. Once this
Hmm.
Clear gets rolled out to several other airports, I'll probably sign up to that as well. Anything to make getting through that security that much
It's
faster.
incredible. It's incredible. It was so surprising to me how the TSA pre-check was so inexpensive, considering how long you have it for.
Yeah, I love the TSA Pre.
It's like $85 for 5 years.
Yeah, I'm trying to say I don't want to watch a video on Clear. So
Right.
anyway, so that's my tip.
Gotcha. And well, I guess let's go into the gear that you take when you travel.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
know a lot of this has to do a lot with the kind of job that you're doing at your location, at your destination where you're gonna be shooting. So for the most part, what do you take? I mean, you don't take absolutely everything you own, do you?
No, I try not to. It really depends on the shoot and who I'm shooting with. If I'm by myself, or if I have an AC with me, or if I'm a one man band. So,
Right.
but to keep it brief, I mean, basically, I'm always carrying. I pack everything in one bag, and the bag that I use is a Think Tank Airport Security. I think it's like version 2.0, and it's basically the largest bag that you can carry on.
Right.
It's so big that sometimes on domestic flights, people will pull me up and they make me put it through the little measurement thing. It always
Really?
it's the largest one. Like I'm really kind of cutting it. I've considered buying a smaller one just because some of the airline staff see it and think it's actually a little bit too big. But I pack everything in that, all my cameras. So
Let me ask you, and I know you and I have the same, but is it, you said it's called the airport security or airport accelerator?
no, it's the Think Tank Airport Security version 2.0.
Airport security. Gotcha. Oh, that thing has wheels.
It has wheels, and what I love about it as well, besides the wheels, on the back of it, it has these straps, so I can actually turn it into a backpack as well. So
Right.
usually, well, pretty much on any shoot, I'm taking 3 bags. So you get, basically when I get to my destination, you got to figure out how am I going to put wheel 2 bags or 3 bags. So having the airport security and being able to have these straps so I can load it on my back, turn it into a backpack means I can basically wheel 2 bags and have one on my back. So
Right.
that for me is a huge godsend. So I use that, and the basic thought process I have with that is pack as much of my camera gear in that bag. So if I do get to a destination, I have a shoot coming up, and I'm shooting that day or the following day. If they lose all my other stuff, if my other bags go missing, I can still do that job with the cameras that are in that bag. So I basically put everything in there from, I put the 2 main cameras that I'm using, my microphones, my shotgun mics, my lavs. I put like a little mini Jolby tripod, so if I have to,
Yeah.
I could set that up on the FS5. I put pretty much
Yeah.
everything I can in there, my hard drives, and the rest, tripods, lighting, everything else goes in my other bags.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I have the airport accelerator, which I think it's maybe a couple 2 to 3 inches smaller.
mhm,
But either way, I've never been stopped. I mean, the bag is still very, very big,
mhm,
very, very big. Uh, but I never been stopped, and I'm pretty sure it's because of the fact that I'm 6'3".
mhm.
So when I have that backpack on as a backpack,
Oh
when
yeah,
it's on, it doesn't look as that big.
right, right.
So I have that going for me. So I've never been stopped with that backpack ever. Um, Now let me ask you, do you ever like where do you put your camera? Like the most expensive stuff. You said you have it on in that bag, correct?
Yeah, my carry-on. I always try and bring that as just the carry-on.
So what do you check?
So I check generally I always have 2 other bags. One bag for my clothes and one bag for all my external camera gear. Now
Okay.
I could potentially fit them, and I have looked at like solutions to fit everything in one bag because basically one suitcase that I have is just like clothes, and I'll put little accessories and everything in that suitcase. And
Mm,
the other case I have, which is a what is it, a Manuke or something like that? It looks like a Pelican case. It's
okay.
basically a hard solid case where I put the Ronin in, and that
Gotcha.
only fits the Ronin. Now, like I said, I could put everything into. I've looked at other options, so I'm only checking one bag. But the problem is that 50-pound limit that the airlines always weigh those bags in.
Mm,
So by the time you put my Ronin and a few other things in it, it's over that 50-pound limit. So it's just easy to split it, put it in 2 bags. If you have to pay for it, it's usually 25 for the first bag, $35 for the second bag. So you end up paying $60, which you generally charge out to the client anyway. So I
right.
split, basically Ronin in one hard case and all clothing and accessories in another suitcase. So I'm checking 2 bags.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm usually always checking 2 bags as well. What I normally do is, just like you, I have the most expensive and most essential equipment in my backpack, in my airport accelerator, think tank, and that's on my back, so it stays with me at all times. And that is basically my personal item.
Mm-hmm.
And then my carry-on it's basically a regular carry-on suitcase where I have my clothes and maybe a few different accessories that I need for camera work. And in terms of checking my bag, I have a Pelican case where I have my lights, I have a bunch of lights in there actually. Most of that cases are my lights. I have my LED panels in there, my one spotlight, my Kinotechnic floodlight, very powerful light, very useful too. So I have that in there as well, and just a bunch of other stuff. I have a can of fog that I carry around with me in case I need it. My batteries, the chargers, a bunch of small little things there. And then so that's my Pelican case, and then my second checked bag is my porter brace, the to carry my tripods, my light stands, and all that. Anything, my monopod, anything that's basically long and won't fit in a normal box, normal Pelican case.
Right.
It all goes in there, including my gaff tape. I'll have my gaff tape, my extension cables, things like that. So I take quite a bit of stuff with me, and for the most part, it always comes out to about 45 to 50, 45 to 50. I mean, just less than 50 pounds.
Right.
So I don't think I've ever gone over. But yeah.
I'm always borderline. And another tip I guess I just say is I actually found on eBay something for $4, a little handheld scale, a little digital scale that I can attach to any of the bags. And so that gives me the weight in pounds and in kilograms. So no matter what, before I show up to the airport, I'm able to weigh it instead of standing at the counter, then taking things out and putting them in another bag. So that's also something I would definitely suggest, is make sure you get one of those little handheld scales, because with camera gear, even gaff tape, it gets rather heavy. So making sure you're right on that 50 pounds, and so you're not that full at the airport each time, which I've been many a times taking stuff out.
Really?
Yeah, that's happened to me several times. So, and you can always push it. Sometimes they'd allow 52 pounds. I got pulled up on a shoot a couple months ago, actually a month ago. I was 52 and a half, and they made me take things out. I thought I could push it. So, but I am looking at getting one of those. What is it? It's one of the production manager series. It's one of those. It's a longer think tank bag, and so I'm hoping I can put a few extra things. So when I go on other shoots, if I can get away with it, I could just put all my accessories in that, and then I'm only ever wearing 1 or 2 shirts on a shoot. I pretty much have a standard uniform when I'm filming. Basically, filming. Yeah, all black is generally. I try to be as incognito as possible. So I feel if I can put everything in one bag and I can keep it under 50 pounds, I'm only checking one. So that way, it's just that much easier instead of lugging 3 bags around these airports these days. So
I'm looking at this the production manager series.
Yeah.
Looks really nice. I didn't know that Think Tank had this.
Yeah, but I did actually give them a call, because I was looking at an option. I spoke to them several weeks ago when I was deciding, because the frustration that I have is this one huge case that I'm using for just for the Ronin, which is like foam interior, etc. It was just frustrating the heck out of me that I'm basically checking a whole bag just to put the Ronin in. So I gave Think Tank a call and asked, is there anything else they have? And they said, really, they're working on it at the moment, but it's something that they know people need, but they don't have anything out there. They said it could potentially, if you break it down, it could fit in one of these production manager bags.
Right.
So I'm looking at possibly doing that, but those bags aren't meant to be checked. So.
Well, you have a Ronin MX, right?
The Ronin M.
Ronin M.
Yeah,
okay,
it's smaller,
so even
Ronin.
smaller.
Yeah.
So I saw this video. I forgot the name of the guy that runs his YouTube channel, and I saw how he basically keeps his Ronin outside of his Pelican case. He just literally has it folded, and with detach it from the bar, and he just basically folds that up and puts it basically in his bag, as if it actually folds down pretty small.
It does, but if you want to keep it nice and you want to keep the parts. I've got the hard case I have has that whole it's a laser cut foam interior. So
now, what's your well, you have your airport accelerator. What goes on the plane with you? Yeah, I know you already have your airport security.
Yep.
What is the other bag that you take with you?
I usually only carry that one roll on. I try and put everything in that one bag, so I'm only concentrating in that one bag.
Right.
But I also leave that option as well. So recently I've got the Mavic Pro, and I'm only doing so much little drone work that the Mavic Pro, the small little drone,
right.
I can actually fit that in the carry-on in the think tank. But there are times on some bigger shoots where I'm carrying the Phantom 4 or Phantom 4 Advance. So, and I actually have DJI's backpack for that. So I leave that always in case I need to bring the Phantom. So then I'll throw that on my back.
Yeah, the drone is a different story. But I think, the airport security backpack, the carry-on, that could always be a carry-on. But it seems like you can get just a regular backpack. like an airport accelerator or airport commuter here that I see from Think Tank that are pretty big also.
Mm-hmm.
But with this on your back and then your airport security rolling with you, that would be your carry-on and your personal right there. And it seems like it would have more than enough room for your Ronin M, your Mavic, and just a bunch of other stuff that you would need to put in there.
Well, we'll see what happens this week. I'm actually going to go down to B&H this week. But then that's the
Right.
good and bad thing of living in New York City. I can just walk straight in. And
Your money's never safe.
the money's never safe with B&H.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go down and actually have a look at some different options. This week I'm flying out to Wisconsin for my shoot coming up next week. I'll be filming at the CrossFit Games in Madison, Wisconsin. So I'm actually looking at some baggage options this week. So I'll keep you posted in what I do.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Make sure that you're posting that stuff.
Oops.
There you go.
Getting text messages through.
Oh man, I'm right there with you, bud. So, yeah, this traveling stuff, man, is very tricky. It's really kind of like an art form. Like I've found that. I mean, I have my science in traveling. I haven't veered too far off from where I started in the way that I travel. I have it down to a good science, actually. I basically, like, as I'm moving throughout the airport, before I check my bags, that porter brace bag where I keep my light stands, my tripod is definitely my heaviest bag, and it's quite inconvenient because it doesn't have any wheels. It's very long, so and it's very heavy. Obviously, it's like at 45 pounds every time I travel. So what I do is I have my big Pelican case. It's one of the big ones, and as I roll that, I basically roll it with my porter brace bag on top of that. So I'm basically rolling them both together, just up until I can get them checked. However, when I land and I collect my bags, then I have to go find the shuttle where it's gonna take me to the car rental place. That's the inconvenient part. It's just minor things like that that just makes it inconvenient to travel. But now I'm considering what I'm gonna take, and now I'm actually my next trip coming up. It's actually I think it's next week. Yeah, next week I'll be going to Philly, and from Philly I'll be going straight to New York. I'll be going to your place, man.
Well, here's a question for you. Do you bring a tripod? Because that's been an issue that I've been dealing with lately. Yeah.
Right.
Do you bring a tripod for your shoots? You always do, don't you?
Of course.
Yeah, I've actually been managing to get away with it. Now it does cause me a lot of issues a lot of the time, but because majority of the stuff that I'm shooting is kind of documentary style. I'm kind of following people around.
Handheld, yeah.
Yeah, mostly handheld. And so I do some sit down interviews, but the issue that I always have is some of the bigger tripods that I have, which I love shooting on. Yeah, it's just that there's no way to actually fit that in my suitcase.
Right.
So I'm already checking 2 bags, and then by the time you check a third one, I think they charge you I think it's an extra $100. So the cheap side of it was like, if I can avoid bringing the tripod, I usually do. And the way I've been getting around that is I have one of the bigger Jolbies, those Gorilla Jolby arms, and
yeah, I have that.
I'm able to attach the FS5 to that. That usually takes me a nightmare of 15 to 20 minutes to actually get that set. And I'm usually looking for boxes and things to put it on top of. But these days, I've so far been able to get around it. But that's always an issue of whether or not to bring the tripod or not.
I would recommend, and I've been looking into this. I think I might make this purchase. This Manfrotto tripod is called Manfrotto Be Free Live Video Tripod Kit.
Okay.
Really, really nice. And the cool thing is how it folds down to basically nothing. It literally fits anywhere,
But wait, is it a photographic tripod?
Yeah. It's a video. No, it's a video
It doesn't have a video head.
It has a video head.
It does have a video head.
Yeah. You'll be surprised on how this thing folds in, man. Like, if you just look at the pictures here on the B&H website, it's quite convenient. Like, definitely. If I didn't already have 2 tripods, I would have had this one already. But I have mine, and I mean, I don't have an issue because I have a bag specifically for my tripods and my light stands, you know,
Yes.
and that's how I like to travel. But for you, I think if you're looking for that kind of versatility in your tripod, something that doesn't get in your way when you're traveling, you don't want to change the way that you're traveling or the luggage that you're taking, I would recommend this one.
And the one that I'm seeing, it doesn't seem to have a video head on it. It only seems to have a photographic head on it.
Yeah, they market two different ones.
Okay.
You have to look at the hold on a sec, kind of lost it here. Yeah, you have to look at the Manfrotto Be Free Live Video Tripod Kit.
I wonder if okay.
Yeah, it's really good. I think Devin Supertramp did a review on this tripod, basically just showing it off a little bit. And
Well, the carbon fiber runs at a very cheap $282. Yeah.
you found it?
No, I still haven't found. I've only got the carbon fiber.
Okay. If you look at the Google Docs thing that we're sharing right now, I
Yes.
put the link there so you can just check it out. Click on it.
Let's have a look.
So yeah, it folds down pretty small, just as small as my travel size tripod. The thing with mine though is that it it has a photographic head, ball head instead of a video head. So it's not always the best option for me.
Right. Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it uses your typical the standard release plate that Manfrotto has. That's important for me because so does my monopod. And back when I used to fly on the glide cam, I would use it for that as well.
All right. Interesting. I'm definitely gonna have to look at that this week then.
Yeah, and it's not that expensive either. It's at 237.
Wait, hold on there. I've lost you.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hold on. I can't. We're gonna have to hold a second. I can't. I've lost you. You there?
I'm here.
Hello.
Yep.
Hold on. I think it's back. All right.
You got me?
Yeah, it's back again. All right.
All right.
Hold on. Let me just get that Google Docs back up because I just lost. You might have to cut this section for a second.
Or not.
What? The fact that my internet, even though I'm on Fios, keeps cutting out.
Oh yeah.
I just want to get that doc back up. Yep.
You good?
Hey, 1 second. I'm not good. Equipment decisions. Oh, sorry. You sent it to the other. You know.
Well, yeah, it's the RX.
Yeah, hold on. Where is it? I don't see it anymore. You sent. Wait, where the hell is it?
Here, I'm gonna reshare to to the other email. What is it?
The other one is Michael at Media McCoy. Where the hell did the doctor just go, though?
Here we go.
I've got the other one, but not.
All right, go ahead. You got it.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know where it just went. Oh, cool. You can open it in here. You just pick up from there. Okay. And so you found it? Let's start from there.
Huh?
Let's start from there if we're doing a video.
Wait, did you stop recording?
No, I didn't stop recording. No.
Oh, so why'd you clap again?
Well, I figured we just cut that section out of us screwing on for a minute and a half.
All right, cool. Yeah, keep recording so I don't have to sync again.
No, you don't. You don't.
Cool. Yes.
So yeah, actually, I do see the Manfrotto Be Free, the live video tripod kit with K. So, well, actually, I had no idea that even existed. So it's a good
Yeah,
tip.
they announced that about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Wait, can I fit that in my suitcase though?
I think so. I think it says here the minimum height is 17 inches. So I'm assuming that that's the height, that's the size of it when you fold it down.
Hmm. Well, interesting. If no one else got anything out of this podcast today, I actually think I actually did. I actually think I'm going to buy this thing.
Yeah.
If this fits in my suitcase, the issue
Yep.
that I have is, I sometimes I'll put a monopod in there, and I can fit that diagonally. I've got a Samsonite suitcase that I put all my like accessories and my clothing in,
Right.
and so I generally put the monopod in there. So, but yeah, it just doesn't really work. Anyone that shoots video really should be bringing a tripod on the shoot. So if this works and this is large enough,
Mm-hmm.
or small enough, I should say, then I'll definitely buy that this week. Thanks for the tip, Mr. Martinez.
Yeah. Yeah. Check that out. I've been looking at it, but I haven't had not the means, but the necessity for it just yet. I just need all I need is a reason, pretty much for, and that goes for anything else that I buy.
Well,
So
the problem is most of the stuff that I'm shooting these days, like I said, is run and gun documentary style. And if I am sitting the people down for an interview, I usually have enough time to just put it in on that little Jolby Gorilla Pod, get a couple boxes because I'm usually filming in like gyms or CrossFit gyms, and they generally have something I can put that on top of to get the
it's
angle right.
incredible. It's incredible that the Gorilla Pod could actually, that Joby Gorilla Pod could hold your FS5.
Yeah, it barely can, and that's the issue. It's a little bit depending on what lens I have on the front, especially if I'm putting like a Metabones on there, and then I'm putting a Tamron 24-70 on there. And then a lot of the time, adjusting it just right so it doesn't fall like forward is always an issue. So that's me trying to like push the lines and I'm making a job much more difficult for myself instead of just bringing
Yeah.
a tripod. But now with this one, hey, maybe I'll have my problem
Exactly.
solved.
Exactly. I'm here holding my Joby Gorilla Pod to the camera. Um, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure the one I'm holding here is the one you're talking
It's
about.
the larger black one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. Um,
yeah. In the future, we're gonna try to do these through FaceTime video so we could both see each other.
that might work. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that in the future. We'll figure that out. We're still getting all the kinks. But anyways, yeah, see if that tripod works out for you, man.
I'll let you know this week. Like I said, I'm going to pop down to B&H and look at suitcase and tripod options for this next shoot I'm going on. So,
Yeah,
and finally get that problem all solved.
sounds good. Sounds good. Hey, so you have a very interesting story traveling with your equipment.
How so?
Uh, didn't you have some sort of issue with your gear not being there?
Yeah, recently.
Yeah.
About a month and a half ago, I finished up a shoot in San Diego, had another shoot in Wisconsin that I was going to. Took the lovely American Airlines, ended up getting delayed several times, got stuck in Texas for several hours, landed in Wisconsin at 2 in the morning, only to find that none of my bags had arrived. So, which was just full of my camera gear. It took several days later and much research, but it took, I think, 5 days for my bags to finally appear. So it was really frustrating because I actually landed. I was supposed to be doing a shoot the first 2 days. I had to cancel that shoot because they actually wanted everything to be done on the Ronin. So
Oh, wow.
it was one of those few times. It was like, well, I can't. I didn't carry that on. I didn't check it. So
Right.
I just rescheduled for another date, but I was without it for several days, and little did I know the difficulties that was going to create. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but if that ever does happen to people, yeah, in the future, they do actually have a rule where they will actually the airline. Well, I think American did. They actually have a system where they'll actually pay for some of the belongings, so you can go out and purchase like toiletries, etc. So, but they keep it a little bit abstract. So, if it ever happens in the future, they do have under the conditions of carriage, which basically all of us sign when we buy a ticket.
Right.
And I think there's a rule under the Geneva Convention which forces them, they have to actually provide a certain allotment for you each day. Now, the way they keep this abstract is what happened with me when I landed the first night. I got in 1 or 2 in the morning. Yeah, they said they'll try and find my stuff, call the next day. By the next day I called, they still hadn't found my stuff. And it wasn't until around 4 or 5 p.m. the following day that I finally got a call from an American Airlines baggage consultant.
Right.
And when they phoned me, they said, "We understand your stuff's missing. We don't think we're going to be able to get your bags tonight at the moment. We don't know where they are. But what you can do is go off and actually buy some toiletries, etc." And I said, "All right, well, how much can I actually, like, what can I buy? Like, am I allowed to buy deodorant?" They're like, "Yes, can you, toothpaste, etc., etc." I was like, "All right." They're like, "You can buy what you would usually buy." I'm like, "What about clothes?" Because I had no clothes. I basically had just had my basic camera gear that I mentioned to you earlier that I carried on.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
they said, "Well, if you need to actually go buy clothes, you can go do that as well." And I was like, "Okay, well, like, what's the limit?" And in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, I don't want to go off and buy a sweater and some pants if there's a day limit of $150.
Mm.
I don't want to go do that. So I said to them, "Well, what's the limit?" And they said, "You can go buy whatever you would reasonably buy." I'm like, "Okay, well, what is that?" They're like, "Well, it depends on the circumstance and the situation you're in." And they were being very abstract and not being very
Right.
specific about what you could do. So I was like, "Okay, I guess." So I went off and purchased a t-shirt, some underwear, some basic clothes. Following day, stuff still doesn't appear. They call me again. They say, "Well, if it hasn't like shown up for the second day, you can go off and buy some more clothes." And again, I
Right.
pressed them with like, "All right, is there a limit to how much I can buy?" Like, and they still wouldn't tell me. So after digging around and doing a bit of research, what I discovered was basically, and they actually, well, I think they were a little bit misleading to a degree. They said to me, if you reasonably shop at like Saks Fifth Avenue, that was the example they gave me, you can go buy your outfit from Saks Fifth Avenue if that's what you would normally do. I was like,
Mm.
okay, that seems a little odd to me. I mean, if I wear $10,000 suits, does that mean I could buy three $10,000 suits and the airline's going to pay for that? Um, and they wouldn't tell me, but the answer to that is no. So the way it works is
Hmm.
you have up to $3,000 is the limit that you can actually purchase to.
Why,
So
why, why wouldn't they tell you that from the beginning?
yeah, it's a weird thing, and I pressed them on it several times. They would never discuss an amount, and I guess if you actually know that amount, then you could go out and buy yourself a $3,000 pinstripe suit, and then they would have to pay for that $3,000 pinstripe suit. I guess they're hoping if you reasonably only shop at Kmart, that maybe you only go to Kmart and buy a pair of socks, underwear, and a T-shirt for $12.99. Yeah.
Right.
So it turns out the actual limit, and this is on American, and I believe it's on most islands under the Geneva Convention. If your stuff goes missing, you have a limit up to $3,000 where they can pay out, and that's for domestic flights. International, it's higher, but it
Mm.
ended up being that I lost. Yeah, there was several things that I bought. It didn't work out to be $3,000, but
Right.
anyway, that's what the limit is. So it was something good to know.
That is very good. And you recovered all your equipment, correct?
Yes and no. Yeah, so there was things that went missing. When they finally got my like baggage out, I had some things missing, but nothing really crazy. I mean, it ended up getting a check from American Airlines several weeks later, and that kind of covered everything that went missing, including all the clothes and everything. So it was just frustrating not to have everything. But it was a good learning experience, and now I know if my stuff goes missing in the future, and I actually don't know what the time limit is, if it's like if your bags don't appear in 12 hours. So don't go out and if they like lose your bags, I wouldn't suggest going out and buying $3,000 worth of stuff straight away. I think you have to
Right.
wait to the baggage. You generally get assigned a baggage consultant if your bags are missing from like maybe 24 hours or so. And when they give you the approval to go off and purchase things, I know for a fact on American it's up to $3,000. I think that's standard across the domestic airlines in the United States. Although I'm not sure.
Mm. Gotcha. I mean, at least they you were able to recover your lost items. That's actually very, very scary. It's obviously it's one of my biggest fears. traveling.
Mm.
But that's why it's always important to have, your insurance and all that stuff when you're traveling, just to make sure that you're covered, because you don't want to be on having the short end of the stick on any one of these situations. Um, so it's very it's very scary for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's why which we should probably talk in another episode about having insurance. So
Insurance, that is definitely something that's very important.
yeah,
We'll probably be talking about that in another episode very soon. But anyways, man, time flies, huh?
definitely. We've been
Time
talking for a
goes.
while.
Yeah. Um, so I want to go ahead and just remind everyone that we are still hosting the contest. It's over on August 6th. Remember, this is the interview contest where you have to go and interview someone. Doesn't matter on the topic, but try to make it a genuine interview. Don't get a friend to script the answers. We're trying to make this organic as possible, and we're still getting submissions in. The deadline is August 6th. On August 7th, which is a Monday, we'll be announcing the 3 winners, and they'll be receiving a Rode Video Micro, courtesy of Rode. So jump on that. You guys have until August 6th to make those submissions. That is roughly 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks. So there's that. It was good talking to you again, man.
All right, man. I guess that wraps up everything for today. Hey.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you've been going crazy, getting super busy right now with CrossFit, the CrossFit Games. What, in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, they're coming up first week of August is coming up. So that's my next kind of big shoot. So from now to then, I'm basically editing and cutting as many things as I can. I guess that's a difficulty being a freelancer. You're trying to finish up one job for one client and then
Right.
cutting for a bunch of other clients that all have deadlines that everyone wants their video, yesterday. So I'm trying to juggle that and finish off all these freelance gigs before I fly out of New York this Friday.
Got it. And I'll be doing a little bit of traveling in a couple of weeks as well. Another announcement actually that I forgot to mention was that we're on YouTube now. We're live on YouTube, and just a quick explanation as to the channel that I decided to put us in. So a couple years back, and Mike, I don't think you know about this. A couple of years back, I started a YouTube channel called Indie Film Force with a couple of friends of mine, Fernando and Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
And the point of that was basically just like any other tutorial / educational filmmaking channel.
Okay.
Was to educate filmmakers, just kind of like what we're doing now, but at a much higher scale. We started this channel not even knowing the kind of workload that we're getting ourselves into. And so what happened was, the first 5 episodes, I ended up pretty much doing it all by myself. And the quality, the level that I wanted was going to require way more time than I had to dedicate to this. And then, with Fernando and Jennifer not being able to, they were busy with their thing as well. It kind of basically died out after 5 episodes. However, we did accumulate like a couple thousand subscribers. And so I've always had this thing on my back where, man, it's such a shame that we didn't do anything with that channel. So what I'm doing now is I'm basically going to repurpose that channel. I'm going to keep the videos that are already on there from Indie Film Force.
Okay.
They're still going to be on there because they're really good videos. Even one of them, the most popular one, was like we compared the Red Dragon with the Sony A7S Mark II, and that has crazy amounts of hits, as you can imagine. So we're gonna leave that stuff on there so you guys don't get confused. That is the Indie Film Force videos that we were trying to do before. We're gonna repurpose it now. The channel is gonna be called iFilmmaker, and we're gonna be putting all these podcast episodes that we're gonna be we're gonna be doing that from now until I don't know, because I'm actually liking this workflow. I think it's looking real nice and pretty smooth, and I'm liking the feedback that people are giving us on our Facebook page, on Instagram, and all that good stuff. So long as you guys continue to like it, we're gonna continue to do this. What do you say, Mike?
Yeah, so I'd be a little bit more structured next time and not so chaotic in doing this last minute.
No, yeah. Listen, I like this because this is really us, man. This is we're a couple of videographers that, we work for a living, right? And this is us in our most transparent stage, So I think it's okay that I'm not justifying being unorganized. I'm just saying that this is really us. This is how it is to be a videographer in this industry. Like it's always going to be crazy.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, I mean, I almost canceled the podcast today and the last one because this has just been this for me is my crazy time of year, and trying to juggle the amount of projects that I have going with edits and then fitting in time to organize for a podcast is always a little bit difficult. But I will say most of the madness ends for me after that first week in August. So hopefully by then we'll be a little bit more structured, a little bit more organized, and we can deliver our podcast a little bit faster and efficient and better for our listeners.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you. I'm sure the listeners appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule as well. So
well, I hope
glad
so.
Glad to have you on board, bud.
All right. Well, thanks for the podcast, and I'll catch you on Thursday.
Yes, we are posting again on Thursday, and we will see you guys on the next podcast. Later, dude.
See ya.